So just standing comfortably, try and have your feet directly below your hips. Let your hips settle just a little bit and soften your knees, and start off just by turning gently in the middle of your body. And just go nice and easy, don't force the movements. And just try and get a sense of how, your posture, your movement. And use that awareness to just draw your attention into your body, to bring that awareness of posture, movement to the front of your mind, so that it kind of occupies your mind, and other stuff just takes a step back. And as we'll see as we go through the session, this actually is a really important first step in a session like this. Just becoming a little bit more aware of your postures enables you to work with it a little bit. And at the same time, we get tremendous benefit from this process of foregrounding our attention and just letting those other things in our lives take a back seat for a while. And what begins to build is a quality, the phrase sometimes used is that we have a sense of stillness within the movement. Qualities like calming, stilling, settling, relaxing, if you like, are actually things that we don't feel are normal. We're always occupied, where there's always an urge to be busy for some reason or another. And one of the things that we can do with these practices is to make that sense of stillness, or however you care to label it, more normal, more, oh yeah, this is something that is a part of my life. And then also begin to realise that not only is it a part of my life, it's not separate from the movement, from the activity, that we can move and be active and engage without losing that sense of stillness, or at least when we lose it, we're able to come back to it. The process of coming back really is this one of bringing our attention back into our body. And this is an ongoing theme in these exercises, and it's not the end of the process, but it's a really important first step. If we want to improve our posture, improve our movements, if we want to get a sense of the flow of energy, and all these other things that are available to us in the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong, we start from that sort of base of spaciousness, stillness, that enables awareness and enables intention. So this is a nice simple exercise to begin that process with. It's not complicated, so we don't have to sort of think too much about where's the foot going, where's the hand going, what's this all about. And it enables us a kind of direct way into that central feeling, that centered, rooted feeling. You may find that a sense of rhythm begins to build in your body. And that rhythm can give you a feeling of connection. Your body resonates to this, so that what happens in your hips will have an effect on your shoulders, and so on and so forth. This can help to engender a feeling of smooth movement, of well-being, which I think is, again, one of the important sort of outcomes of this. Just shake out. Starting with a very simple exercise, and just very gently push your shoulders up towards your ears. This is not meant to be a strong or straining exercise, and just as slowly let them drop down. And what we want to do is to focus on this feeling in the muscles of chest and upper back and shoulders as the shoulders drop down. And this is the sensation that we label variously as releasing, softening, yielding, letting go. They're all reasonable understandings of the same Chinese term that we sometimes translate as relax, calm and still. We want to just apply a word, if you like, a label that enables us to recall this feeling. This becomes part of our intention. So having done that, we try and do the same thing in the middle part of the body. Just gently pull your belly in, tighten in your back, and that same feeling of releasing. Noticing what happens in your body. I always find that when I do this in the middle of my body, actually that feeling of releasing is felt all through my body. And another really important point here is that it feels as though something is dropping. More of my weight is dropping down, and this leads us to the idea of rooting down, dropping our centre of gravity. It's such a key part of the posture of Tai Chi, and offers this great sense of stability. We too often associate that with simply bending the knees, but really it starts with this process of releasing. You'll see my knees will just curve slightly. It doesn't necessarily require a strong bend in the knees. But what you may feel is a stronger sense of gravity pulling on your hips. And from this, very gently, let your hips just drop down a little bit. Don't go down too far, don't strain in your knees, and then just feeling yourself being pushed up. So your body expands out of the ground, grows out of the ground, and then contracts back into it. And again, it's more difficult to feel, but this movement can settle into a nice steady rhythm that encourages this sense of resonance, of movement, all the way through the body. Begin to feel as our feet push down into the ground, that pushes our hips up, our hips push our shoulders up, so again, a growing sense of connection in the body. Bring your hands around as though you're cradling the ball, and let that movement upwards, push your elbows out, drawing your hands out, and then turning over, so you're pressing the ball down into water, sinking down again. Exercise is called rooting down because it's really the key thing here is this sinking down, the lowering of our centre of gravity, and from that, the push up. So remember, it starts with not a bend of the knees, but a releasing in our body, particularly in our hips. And this applies to all movements. So that's not just the physical movement that you can see, but movements like our breathing, our circulation, and also this sense of a flow, an energy moving through the body. This time, turn your fingers out, same thing in your legs and hips, but your arms get pushed out sideways, swinging up in the exercise, the wild goose. And if this or any of the other images that we use offer quality that enhances the movements, then we can just feed the image, as it were, through our intentions. If an image doesn't make sense to you, then it's not a massive failure at all. It's not a failure at all. It just means it wasn't the right image. And the idea is for the imagery to influence the movements, not the other way around. This is not about investigating the images. One more time. And then letting your hands drop down, crossing in front of your belly, pushing up, and again your elbows being pushed out. This time drawing your fingers around in a smooth circle. This is parting the clouds. Try not to stiffen up in any of the joints of your body, particularly upper body, shoulders, elbows, wrists, the joints of your fingers. If you find that you've stiffened up somewhere, again, we may be able to just apply that quality of releasing. Make us imagine that area of the body releasing. Now this time, let your hands curl under, going back to rooting down and just doing a little sequence of these 3 movements. Don't rush to change. Turning your fingers out, arms being pushed out sideways. And then dropping down and parting the clouds. And just let your attention to this sequence, once again, occupy your attention and see if you can get a sense of what's happening within your body. Each movement shares a lot in common with all of the other movements. At the same time, each movement has its own unique sort of inner patterns of expansion and contraction. Subtle variations that we feel mostly in the upper part of the body, because your legs and your hips are basically doing the same thing with each of these 3 exercises. So we start to harmonize 3 aspects of ourselves. Obviously, the physicality of the movement, the body, our minds, our awareness, our intentions, and the movement, the flow, the energy itself. One more round. And these 3 elements really do combine. This time, same thing in the legs still, and then sink down, push up, and let your intention just move to one side, pushing up, wind your arm around. This is dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Arm coming down to its full length, again aware of your center, sink in, and then pushing up on the other side, and draw down. Take your time with that changeover. Once again, normalizing, not rushing. Doesn't mean we can't move quickly sometimes, but sometimes life can feel a bit like running downhill. We can't quite slow down. Again, this idea of the stillness within the movement. One more on each side. Don't go down deep, just get that feeling of releasing, settling back in your hips. Bring your hands to your sides, lightly touching the side of your hips, and then from the center, expanding, pushing up, down, taking the time, just that moment in time, to once again let the inside of your arm touch the sides of the center of your body. Expanding again, pushing out and turning in the center, feeling how that redirects your arms. And back. Turning the other way. So increasingly there's a focus of attention in that central part of the body. Finishing this little set by pushing out sideways, pushing in 4 directions. Beginning to recognize that in a way the kind of heart of that quieter quality lies in that central part of our body, and it's feeling of dropping towards the ground. How significant all of that is for our movement. This is quite literally centered movement. Still with a nice, steady, easygoing rhythm. One more round of this. Bringing your hands back, trying not to rush, let them drop down to your sides. And again, focusing on one side of your body, pushing your arm away so that it swings around and up. And then straight down the middle line of your body, past your nose, your navel, dropping down again. Same thing, same side. Once again, and this time, as your hand gets to the top position, turn a little. Once again, noticing how the center of the body affects the whole of the body. It's sometimes described as being like the hub of a wheel. A change in sides, just noticing any difference between one side and another. And then, once again, gently turning. Now, so your arms just hang down, going back to this movement, sinking down, pushing up. And this time, rotating the centre vertically. So you push your hips back, let your head go forwards just a little way, and then once again releasing in your hips, letting them drop back, and then pushing up. Very carefully with this, it can be quite strong on your knees and your back. Just moving as far as you're comfortable moving with this. This is not a competition. And then pushing up, and this is a movement called rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Gentle extension through back and arms. Letting gravity pull down on your hips and bringing your head up, and then starting all over again. One more time. Using that same movement but combining it with the horizontal rotation, hands in front of your belly, palm down, you turn, push the hips back and just let the hands slide forwards, swinging around, hips dropping down, turn back to the front. This is polishing the table. Same thing in the other direction. Turn around so you can see my hips. I'm exaggerating this a little bit so that you can actually see what's happening. I turn, hips go back, I swing them across, I let the hips drop down, and I turn back to the front. Once again, the centre of your body, sort of being at the centre of that focus of attention with its gentle movements and that sense of it dropping to the ground. Rooting down, as you could argue, is dropping your centre to the ground. One more time. And then just letting your arms hang down, coming back to the standing, coming back to that awareness of your posture, simple awareness, and focusing just a little bit more in this area between hips and waist, and the feeling of it dropping towards the ground. And then just shake out. So in Tai Chi and Qigong, there's a common feeling through all of the movements. There are some very complicated movements, and I suppose one of the things we could say about it is that actually what we're learning to do is to maintain that sense of being centered, grounded, rooted, again, whatever word is useful to you. We learn how to release and come back into that, and then we're presented with almost an exercise in problem solving, because some of the movements can get quite complicated, quite tricky, and we learn how to find those qualities in those circumstances. I feel this is a very practical thing, because it's something that we can sort of take into our daily lives eventually. So we're going to change the stance, and just starting with your feet parallel, feet are hip width apart, turn one foot out and step forwards a little bit, keeping the same width, and now just beginning to move your weight forwards and backwards. You go into your back foot, you release, you settle, you feel the push up, and you direct that movement into the front foot. You settle, you release, and move back. So the weight transfer is a very important part of this art. It is also a crucial part of our everyday movements, just walking around. This is an exercise that will help to condition your legs and your knees, and it will help you to get a sense for how we can move around with these qualities, what is involved in this. So the key thing again is going to be that feeling of releasing and dropping in the centre of your body. So at the moment, it's a partial movement. You're going to about 60% of your weight in the front foot, up to 70 in your back foot. But we begin to change this. You go into your front foot, you push the back knee in, you shift forwards just a little bit more, being careful of your knees. And you go into the back foot, you raise your front toes and shift back just a little bit more. Gradually increasing the amount of weight in each leg and bringing your upper body into line again, but this time over one leg. So it's obviously going to be trickier. It takes a little bit of practice to do this. It's not an easy exercise. Notice I've got my front foot turned out slightly. I find that helps my weight to drop, but only very slightly. And then, so you go forwards, draw your back foot in, push it back, put the ball down, ball of the foot, put your heel down, gently press into the floor and move back. Bring the front foot in, step out, heel goes down, the ball of the foot, and then you press in, you plant the foot and move the weight. If you're finding this a bit tricky, because you're wobbling around a lot, just shake out. Remember that what we want to do for that stability, we want to release. But it's very difficult if you feel that you're about to fall over. So an interesting way to practice, whether you feel the wobble or not, is just have your hand on a wall or a table so that you've got a little bit of support there and play a little bit with this idea of releasing. What happens if you release? And find out for yourself how that can actually really help you with your stability. It's not an intellectual exercise, so just because I say it's true doesn't mean that it is. You have to feel that it's working for you. So try this with your other foot forwards and just transferring your weight. So remember, transferring, releasing, settling. Just reflecting on this everyday activity that we so rarely pay attention to. Beginning to raise toes and heel. Trying not to strain in the upper part of your body as you do this. Again, sometimes, even if you're quite experienced at this, it's interesting to have something to support you. We often don't realise that there is still straining going on. Stepping in. It's as though you're stepping on thin ice, and what you're going to do is you place the foot, you gently press in to test the ice before you commit your weight. And then, taking a few steps through, you either go forwards or backwards depending on where you have the space. Take your time. Fine to put your toes down here and just settle in before you take the step. You might want to try sometimes what it's like to just bring your foot all the way through. But sometimes you'll see me do that. Sometimes if I haven't quite got the alignment, I'll put my toes down just to get that alignment back. This isn't a race or a competition. And I'm going to change direction. Good. And shake out. We're bringing the upper body back into the movement. This is always tricky because it would tend to dominate. So try and keep that sense of what's happening in the lower part of your body. Have your right foot forwards, starting with a very simple exercise. Your weight in your back leg, going forwards, and then as you settle into your front leg, just letting your arms swing through. And then back. This is called fisherman castanet. Settling into the back, feeling that rising movement, pushing you forwards. And then back. Very soft in your shoulders, feeling the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders. And again, try not to stiffen up in your arms. I'm not trying to lift my arms, I'm just letting them swing. They naturally curve up. It's wave-like movements through our body. And then keeping that feeling in the body, just adjusting the arms a little bit, bringing them back in front of your hips. Let the heel of the palm drop down, so palms forwards. Let the wave-like movement pushing your hands through. Again, they just naturally curve up. This is called pushing wave, a slightly stronger quality in the movement. And a slightly stronger sense of focus. You can imagine you're pushing against something that's a little bit mobile. Not like a wall, but maybe like a heavy supermarket trolley or something like that. Something that will respond to the movement forwards. And we're going to combine this with that stepping in and out that we did a few moments ago. So go forwards, push your back knee in, bring the foot in. Step back and move the weight, drawing your hands back to your hips, raise your front toes, bring the foot in. Step forwards and plant the foot, push forwards. Don't be in a hurry to move the weight. On the side. And don't overextend your arms. If I bring my arms to here, I still feel very stable, but if I push them out too far, that's when I start to lose the stability. So getting a sense for how far it's appropriate to move. Good. Shake out. Let's try that on the other side. So keeping the width of your step, not too long a step, and starting with fisherman castanet. And then pushing wave. Remember, moving from the ground. and then with the stepping. Taking your time. And bring your feet and shake out. Lovely. So, just closing the session, rubbing your hands together, and then with the pads of your fingers, tapping lightly over your face. And then over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm. And on the other side. Onto your back, lightly on your back. Working out to your hips. And going down the outside of your legs and up the inside. Come up the front of your body to your belly. And finishing on the upper part of your chest. Okay, shake out. So, final exercise, in some ways perhaps the most important one, because it's the one that shows us how we can come back to these qualities. It's called Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain. So start by just standing again, getting that sense of the posture, maybe your breathing, feeling your hips dropping back, releasing in your body, sinking down. And then as you push up, your arms being pushed away again, this time coming around as though they're going to hold a ball against your chest, drawing in, releasing in your hips, dropping back, returning. And I think one way we can use this exercise is just to get a sense and almost to ask yourself the question, what brings me back? Is it the pull of gravity on your hips? Is it the image of returning to the mountain? Is it some other quality? Maybe just identifying one or two things that will be useful to us. Next time we're rushing around the supermarket or something like that, how do we come back to that quality, the stillness within the movement? What would be the most useful trigger? Just to remind you of that as a possibility. Nice and gently. Just one more time. Come back to standing and just take 2 slow, gentle breaths to finish. Good, and shake out. Lovely. Thank you very much. As always, please feel free to get in touch with any questions or comments. Bye.
Thank you, Mike.